Hi, my name's Travis, and I'm excited to talk to you today about the Stream of Miracles retreat that we put on in Peru every year. We've been doing this retreat in Cusco since 2013, and I think it's a pretty unique retreat. I don't see a lot of other retreats doing what we do. We came up with this idea after a couple years traveling in Peru and trying different retreats and not being fully satisfied anywhere we went. We decided to make a retreat for ourselves, putting together a couple different shamans that we liked and creating kind of a different itinerary for ourselves. And it worked out so amazingly, it just became a retreat that we've been doing every year since then. And what I really love about this retreat is we get to work with different medicines and different teachers and different shamans so that you get a lot of different perspectives and can really figure out how you resonate with the different medicines and traditions and kind of explore what you're really called to do. So we're going to do 2 ayahuasca ceremonies in this retreat. We're going to do 2 San Pedro ceremonies in this retreat. We're going to work with the Q'eros tribe and do cleansing ceremonies as well as the despacho offering to the spirits. We're also going to do some rape workshops and learn about icaros and medicine songs. And we're going to see some sacred sites and temples like Machu Picchu. So this is a pretty unique adventure that we get to go on every year. And it's not like a normal retreat where maybe you kind of just sit around in between ceremonies and there's not that much to do and they kind of just tell you you're supposed to be quiet and reflect and just eat this really simple food. We go a different route. We're going to pamper you and make you very comfortable during your ceremonies. In ayahuasca, you get cold, you raise your hand and somebody will bring you a blanket and tuck you in all nice and comfortable. If you puke in your bucket, we're not going to leave you next to that gross bucket. We're going to pick it up and give you a brand new clean bucket and just take that gross one away for you. We want to make everybody really comfortable so that they're not focused on how uncomfortable or challenging something is. They're just more focused on their ceremony and their healing and their spiritual experience inside the ceremonies. And so we decided to work with a few different healers and shamans. For ayahuasca, we're going to be working with someone named Kush and his wife Erika, and they have a team of shamans that work with them. Namely, my 2 favorites that work with them are Paloma and Chihuanco, and they're just amazing people, but they also do this lovely ayahuasca ceremony. I've never experienced anything else like it. It feels like a true celebration of life. Like there's just dancing, there's music. It's not a party, but it doesn't feel like some ceremonies I've been to with ayahuasca are so serious and so dark, it just feels like, where's the love and the light? And this one, the love and the light in the ceremony is very obvious, very easy to connect to. And it just makes it so much easier when you have to face the dark parts of yourself to know that you're in caring, supportive hands. So I love working with Kush, some of the coolest music I've ever seen. For San Pedro, also known as Wachuma, we're going to work with one of my best friends and one of my favorite people, Lesley Myburgh. After the first time I came to Peru, I was so touched by the way she expresses love and compassion that I actually asked her to marry me and my wife. And we got married at her house. And that's how much my friendship with her means to me. She's just a beautiful person. She takes a different approach than Kush, though, and that's part of why I like having them both together in this retreat. Because while Kush does all this music and there's this big show of ceremony, with Lesley, it's very chill and it's more about you having your own experience with the plant medicine and her just being there to support you and her creating this beautiful environment and container for the ceremony. But I think there's also a little special magic she puts into it. You could tell right away because at the start of the first ceremony, when we start passing around the talking stick and everyone's sharing their intention for the day, by the time we get to start drinking San Pedro, everybody's already crying because just talking about San Pedro and talking about our intentions in our lives, Lesley just has these beautiful responses and a beautiful way of holding energy for everybody that people will start opening their hearts and crying before they even drink San Pedro. And it's like the ceremony already started before we get the medicine just because of her presence and her personality. And we're also going to work with some really amazing people from the Q'eros tribe. If you've never heard about the Q'eros tribe, they're considered the most traditional culture still in Peru because they fled when the Spanish arrived and stayed uncontacted until around the 1950s. So they've only had a few decades of contact with modern culture, and even now, they live very separated, isolated in the mountains. Most of them do not get a lot of contact with regular culture. They don't have electricity where they live. They're very humble, hardworking, and special people. And they're going to come do a few rituals with us. They're going to be there at both of our San Pedro ceremonies. They like to do a cleansing near the end of the ceremony that's really beautiful. And my favorite ceremony of the whole retreat is an offering we make with them. It's called a despacho offering, and it's kind of considered like a payment to Mother Earth and the spirits of nature, giving back to them for all the gifts that you've received in your ceremonies and in your life. And sometimes I think that's the ceremony that moves people the most. You know, everybody often comes for like, especially the ayahuasca, but just the plant medicine in general. And a lot of people leave telling me how impressed they were with the Q'ero ceremony, and they were surprised that that was the most touching and moving part of the retreat. And because we're in Cusco, Peru, if you don't know this yet, there is a lot of amazing stuff to see. So on our days off, we like to show you guys some of the local culture and local traditions, because I think that's deeply tied into the ceremonies we do. And it's also really powerful and healing and informative to experience travel and to experience new cultures. And so I think adding that sense of adventure in there almost makes this retreat kind of like the hero's journey. You're not just going to hide away at a retreat and just be by yourself a lot with these little ceremonies breaking up the isolation. Instead, we're going to go to ancient temples and ruins. We're going to go visit different mountains and sacred sites and see beautiful nature. And we even get to do some of our ceremonies and medicine at some of these spots, because where we're going to do our ayahuasca and San Pedro ceremonies is right next to Temple of the Moon. You probably haven't heard of it. It's not a well-known temple. It's next to a very large, well-known temple called Sacsayhuaman, a giant Incan temple, but the Temple of the Moon is much older. And it's actually my favorite temple in Peru. It's pretty small, but there's something deeply magical and powerful and moving about it. So when we drink San Pedro, later on in the ceremony, we often go visit this temple, and you can go sit inside the caves. You can sit on these altars and feel the energy, and we might pray and sing a little bit together. And there's a different type of energy and experience you can get connecting with these ancient temples, with these gigantic stones that feel like they're infused with magical energy from nature and from the thousands and thousands of years of people praying to them and doing ceremony at these sites. You can really feel all the energy from all that history, and it's pretty special to experience with plant medicines. And at the end of the retreat, it's optional. If you want to see Machu Picchu with us, we add a 2-day option to go see Machu Picchu, and it's like the icing on the cake. You know, you do all this hard work and ceremonies, and you also had 9 days connecting with this wonderful group of people, and afterwards we get to go to Machu Picchu together. We don't have to do any more ceremonies, so that's maybe the time when you want to be a little bit more adventurous, trying new foods, and just you get to relax and have a little bit more fun, and it feels like it really tops off the retreat in a beautiful way. So you kind of get the full package with this. You kind of get to travel, you get to support the local area. We go to animal sanctuaries to protect endangered animals, and we go visit some local artisans and people that can really use our support. And we also just like to support a lot of the local Peruvian shamans so that they can keep their culture alive and make their living by being themselves and by maintaining and preserving their culture for the future. And so I think in this retreat, it's not just about one thing. It's not just about the ayahuasca. It's not just about Machu Picchu. It's kind of about the whole package and about how magical and special life can be. And that's why we called it the stream of miracles, because life is a continuous stream of miracles. Everything that led to us getting here was just miracle after miracle after miracle so that we could be alive on this planet in this moment. And so let's do something beautiful with it. I hope to see you on our retreat this year. Reach out to me. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm Travis. If you don't know how to find me, just check soulremedy.org. Thank you.